What is up, everybody? I am George Mossey. Please say hello to my co-host, Cherona. So this is the 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 7 podcast recap on the George Mossey Show. And we are going to be talking about this extension of a fight. I mean, every scene with Nicole and Mahmoud is a fight, but this was a fight that happened on last week that kind of spilled over into this week. So Mahmoud made a comment. He said, "I don't want to be with you." And Nicole saw that as him saying, pack your stuff and go back to America. So she went to the room and started packing. And Mahmoud is like, what are you doing? Don't leave. I didn't really mean it, blah, blah, blah. And instead of accepting his apology, she's like, well, I'm not really thrilled with you. I don't really feel like I want to be with you. I want to stay here. I feel uncomfortable. And I feel like, in my opinion, Nicole likes to fight. I don't know if you feel that way, but
Yeah.
every time, because Mahmoud is the type of person where he would just be like, oh, my love, I'm sorry, I love you, and then try to de-escalate the situation. And Nicole is the type of person where she's like, don't touch me, don't say you're sorry, I'm pissed off, and she wants to continue the fight. So I've noticed that about them. They're like oil and vinegar. Nicole is always ready to extend the fight and yell and get mad, and Mahmoud is always where he's like, okay, my love, I'm sorry, let's move on. And I've noticed that it's never going to de-escalate because Nicole is always ready to come firing back. So I think what really is bothering her is she doesn't understand how loving her has to do with what she's wearing, what's not covered. And I think in actuality, for an American, it probably is difficult because in our culture, if your husband or your boyfriend, or it can go vice versa, regardless of the gender of who you're dating, tells you what to wear, you see that as controlling and you don't see it as love. Because that's how we're taught here in America. If someone tells you what you can and can't do or can and can't wear, they don't love you. They're just controlling you and they don't appreciate you and they don't appreciate giving you the opportunity to have your freedom. But in an Egyptian culture, the more you love your wife or your spouse, the more you want them to be covered. And I know this sounds really odd, but this is just how their religion works. Like for a woman, the less skin you can see, the more accepted and loved and religious she is seen and respected. And it's very difficult for Nicole, who's raised in a normal, she raised, I believe, in Iowa, I believe she said. Yeah, in a normal household where she was able to express herself. She's into fashion. She makes her own clothes. It's very difficult for her to understand that Mahmoud loves her so much that he wants her to be covered, because in his religion, that's the most purest way to show love to your wife. It's by saying what she can and can't wear. And it's not a sense of control. It's a sense of teaching her the ways of their religion and why it's important. And then the wives actually agree with it and do it out of the free will because they know that it's right. And I feel like Mahmoud is failing in a sense because he's not teaching Nicole why it's important. He's just telling her why she can and can't do things. You know, even with a child, when you tell a child not to do something, they're going to do it. Like you tell the child, don't stick anything in the outlet, and then you just walk away, they're going to go grab something and stick it in the outlet because you didn't tell them why. You just told them not to do it. So you have to say, like, don't stick it in the outlet. It'll electrocute you and you'll die. And then the kid will be like, oh, I'm definitely not doing that, right? Like that's insane. But like he's just telling her, like, oh, well, you need to cover your head and you need to do this, and that's gonna make me happy. But it doesn't make sense to her. There was a meeting with Mahmoud's uncle, who is a clothing manufacturer, and that meeting was postponed by this huge fight. But in their culture, it's important that Nicole and Mahmoud show up, regardless of how they feel, regardless of the situation that took place. And that meeting actually made her feel even more upset because in their culture, since she decided to convert to their religion, they feel that it is disrespectful for her to show up without her head covered. They didn't really speak more on the clothes. It was more so just about the hijab this time. But he said that since she was a Christian and she decided to convert, that's why they feel that it's disrespectful. If she never would have decided to convert, they never would ask her to adapt their culture. And I think Nicole didn't realize that. All she had to do was not convert, and she could have been herself. They said that their culture is not forced upon anyone that is not a part of their culture. So by her deciding to convert, this is what got her into this mess in the first place.
Honestly, that's exactly what I was going to say. And we have to continue to say it is not Mahmoud's religion or culture. It is now both of theirs because she has converted. And she
Yes.
did not listen to anything. Because obviously she knew something before she converted. And then the uncle hit the nail right on the head. And I was like, you know what? I like this guy. I've got mad respect for you. Because he said, if you would have stayed a Christian, this wouldn't be an issue. You decided free willingly. No one made her convert.
Yeah.
She did it on her own because she said that she wanted to be the same religion as her husband and she wanted to respect his culture. But she's not respecting it. So why'd you do it? It's not like something you can just be like, oh, just kidding. I don't want to be like that anymore. I'm just going to be a Christian again. Like, no, over there, you can't do that. You can't. It's not like you change your hair color and you're like, oops, I'm a blonde and now I'm a brunette, but I want to be blonde again. I'm just gonna go blonde. Like, you can't just do that with religion and culture. Like, this is the core part of their values. And
Yep.
she did not look or read into this, apparently, which, I mean, I'm from California and I am in San Diego. I go to LA. I lived in LA. There's a lot of people that are Muslim. So it's not like the culture is foreign to us. We've seen it. We see it all the time in California. You see it everywhere. Everyone,
Yeah.
the United States is the melting pot. So there are these cultures everywhere. So it's not like this is something brand new to her that she's never seen in her life. And if she tries to say that she's never seen that in LA, I'm sorry, but that's all cap because I've seen it. I've lived there. So I don't know. I just don't know what she's like arguing. Like you said, I think she just really likes to argue.
Yep.
Like, all she wants to do is create confrontation. You chose this life. You were going to divorce this man, and you didn't. So, you know what? Joke's on you now. I don't know what to... I can't help her. Can't help her. I can't.
Enough with Nicole because I feel like that is a helpless situation. I want to talk about Gabe and Isabel because we found out that Gabe has a best friend named Trey, who was unaware that Gabe was trans, which I thought was kind of crazy, but it's not though because Gabe looks so much like himself now. Like it's impossible for anyone to know unless he tells someone. So I was surprised, but then I was like, not really, because Gabe looks like Gabe, like unless Gabe tells someone that he was born a woman, there's absolutely no way you would have figured that out. But we found out that it's not all rainbows and butterflies because Isabel feels a certain type of way about Trey. So she revealed to us that Trey is a womanizer. So every time she sees Trey, he's with a different woman. Now, she doesn't have a problem with that specifically because she is not in a relationship with Trey. Her issue lies with Gabe being so close with Trey and they go out together. And in fact, this restaurant that they were in this episode was a spot where Trey and Gabe like to go out. And it frequents a lot of Americans, English speaking people. And that kind of makes Isabel a tiny bit insecure because it's something that she can't compete with. Like an American person who speaks English, who is of a certain look or whatever, she feels a little insecure because she's like, what if he meets someone that he likes better than me? And I hate that for Isabel for thinking that because first of all, Isabel, you're beautiful, you're perfect, you're amazing, you're special, and Gabe is there for a reason. So I wish you didn't feel that way, but I understand we're only human. We have these feelings where it's possible where if someone is around, and I think Isabel said it best in this episode, she said, I trust Gabe. I don't trust Gabe when he is with Trey because I don't know what Trey does behind closed doors and they're very secretive. And we saw that in this episode when she was like, why are you shushing him? Like just let him say it. Don't keep secrets. I want to know what's going on. If you guys are doing something in this restaurant, don't keep it from me. So those type of things are making her feel this way. She feels that Trey is a bad influence and influence is a big deal to her because she feels like no matter what Gabe feels, being around people that are doing things that don't necessarily align with what he wants to do can influence him to do different things. So I think that she has a right to feel that way, but I also feel like she doesn't have anything to worry about. I feel like Gabe is definitely, he moved himself, he moved his business, he moved everything to be with her. I don't really feel like she has anything to worry about, but again, she's human and those feelings are not something that you can just turn on or off. If you feel that way, that's how you feel. And I feel like Gabe has to work a little harder to make sure that she doesn't feel that way and that she's never put in a position to feel like there are secrets being held from her.
Yeah, I feel the same thing. Like, I think the shushing and the secrets, like, we've never seen this side of them, so it was a little interesting to see because they seem so perfect. I
Right?
mean, it's crazy. I personally wouldn't be so insecure about someone hanging out with someone that is a womanizer or whatever, because Gabe even got a tattoo for her. He covered the other girl. I love that. But I mean, you can't, yes, people say that you can base everyone off of their friends, but I don't think that that's true. Because you could have a friend that goes out and does something crazy, and you could be like a little bookworm. You know, opposites attract. So just because they're hanging out doesn't mean that Gabe is going to be unfaithful. And Trey's not in a relationship that we know of. So it's not like he has to be faithful to anyone. He can talk to women all he
Right.
wants. But Gabe should have been honest and said, yeah, we do come here. And I'm sorry, but if you're trying to lie to someone, you're doing it really badly because you're not telling the other
Yes.
person that you're gonna lie. So that's your first mistake, Gabe. That's lying. You can't just, they didn't even have like an eye look. They had nothing. He was just like, shh. And of course, she's like, why are you shushing him? And she can't fully understand everything that Gabe and Trey are saying. So yes, that will make her insecure. He was being a little sus, so of course she's gonna think, but he's obviously, we don't know. It could just be something that's not sketchy at all, but he's making it seem sketchy. You're going about it all the wrong way. And that's why my girl Isabel is over here like, what the hell is going on? And I get that part, but if Gabe didn't make her feel like she needed to be insecure, I don't think she would be insecure at all.
Watch Gabe and Isabel go to her parents' house for a few days, and this is going to be the time where he does two things. He's going to tell her parents that he's trans. He's also going to ask for her hand in marriage from her dad. And these are big things. And actually, at the dinner, it's not a huge deal. The parents love Gabe, and they are very happy that the relationship is serious. They are very happy that Gabe has moved there and they're doing so well. They're very happy with him in every way. And they even got the opinions of Isabel's children. And they're like, see, everyone is saying high things of Gabe. And we are happy that they're taking this next step. So the only thing that Gabe is worried about, and we're worried about too, is when they discuss him being trans, which again, I'm going to keep saying it because I'm a broken record. It's none of their business. I wish that he didn't need their approval. I understand why he wants it, but I wish that he didn't need it because her dad is very religious and conservative, and those two things have been known. I don't want to say that her dad is not open-minded, but have been known to be characteristics of someone who is not open-minded. So I just don't know how relevant this is to her parents, because if he loves their daughter and their daughter loves him, I don't know the relevance of whether or not he was born a man or a woman is to that situation.
Yeah, like you said, they love Gabe. Their family is obsessed. They're creating this amazing little family together, and then her parents are so happy about it. They told Gabe, like, our house is always open for you. You can always come here. Like, we love you. So, like you said, if they're so religious and like Isabel's really scared, we don't know how they're going to react. And like you said, like, it's no one's business. Like, if Gabe wants to say it, which he does, he can do that. But if he decided he didn't want to and he wanted to just go forward with the proposal, he could do that too. It's whatever makes him comfortable. But when Trey asks, like, if your parents don't approve, what are you going to do? And she still really doesn't know, because that's hard, like picking like someone over your family. Like, I mean, it's not like their family lives next door, but still it's your family. Families, we have seen for multiple years that families can mess up relationships. So
Yes.
we just need to, I don't know. I want to protect Gabe. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I think they're such a great couple. They're such a cute little family. But if Gabe needs to speak his truth, then that's what he needs to do. And if the parents don't accept him, I just hope they'll work out.
And like you said, choosing between the person you love and your family is never easy, because she's a mom. She has two children that need to also be a part of her parents' lives. So choosing that isn't just for her. It's sometimes it could mean choosing that for her children as well. And she doesn't want to limit the relationship that they have with their grandparents. So if they don't agree, it's just going to be a huge deal, a life-changing decision for everybody involved. So I really want them to work out. And like I said, before this episode, I never saw one problem in this relationship. This was the first time I realized that they had actual problems. So I'm just fingers crossed, hoping for them, because in my mind, they're the only ones that have it together, right? They're the only ones. All right, guys, that's all the time we have. This has been the 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 4, Episode 7, podcast recap on The George Mossey Show. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com, and anywhere you get your podcast. And please follow my host, Cherona, too. Her links are right here at the bottom. We'll talk to all of you guys really soon.